Do your protagonists need their own beats? My name is Gina. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. Yes and no. The most common place in which you are going to see protagonists, and so these are co-protagonists, so people that they are equally sharing the weight of the story. The most common place you're going to see this is in romance novel. And in romance stories, the most common structure is that we meet her and we see what her deal is. We meet him, we see what his deal is. They meet each other, and then their stakes become intertwined throughout the rest of the story. And so it really is more like the hook is split between the two of them, and by the inciting incident, they have been conjoined for better or for worse. And depending on the subgenre and the tropes that you are working with, they can be at odds with one another, or they can be like fallen in love very quickly and they are trying to overcome the things that are going to hold them apart. And so, yes, they might have their own beats, but really those beats are very closely intertwined with one another. And so you might be able to look at your romance novel and be like, well, the beats are the same for these people because they are working together towards this shared goal. However, that is not the only place in which you see protagonists, in which you see two people just genuinely bearing equal weight within the story. There is usually going to be one that is a little bit hookier than the other. That's the one that you're going to introduce first, and the other one is going to become something of a B plot. They will be introduced slightly later, not usually by a lot. And even if we introduce two characters at the in the very first sentence, the secondary characters, the other protagonists, conflict will be introduced slightly later. It's really difficult to introduce two conflicts equally at the beginning from the start and have them hold equal weight throughout the entire story with nobody ever giving an inch. It's much more likely that you've got one that feels a little bit more prominent, a little bit more strong, and that's the one that is going to start first and end last. And then your secondary, your B plot, is going to start a little bit later and it's going to wrap up a little bit sooner. Those stakes should still be related to one another somehow. Otherwise, why are we putting them in the same story? It's always really nice when they wrap up with the same resolution or with a very similar resolution. That's difficult to do, but it's really great when that happens. So, yes, your protagonists each have their own beats, but they might be intermingled together. And so you might not have separate boxes for them on that plotting tool.